Well, joining us now is Roxanne King, the co-author of the book Catholic Heroes of Civil and Human Rights, 1800s to Present. Roxanne, how you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Well, you're very welcome. We're thrilled you could be with us. I'm hoping that your cat makes an appearance in the background.
Well, maybe. His name is Cosmos, and he loves people, and he likes to be right where the action is. So we'll see.
Well, Roxanne, your book covers the lives of many Catholics, many Catholics. But in particular today, we want to focus on our Black brothers and sisters in the book. So can you start by telling us about the servant of God, Julia Greeley?
Julia Greeley. Yes, absolutely. She was actually the first profile I wrote in Catholic Heroes of Civil and Human Rights because she's a Denver girl. Julia was a former slave who arrived to Denver about 1878 to work for the first territorial governor of Denver, William Gilpin, and his wife, Julia. Julia Gilpin was a devout Catholic, and Julia was much impressed by her faith and converted to Catholicism. She came as a free woman, and she converted to Catholicism at our Sacred Heart Church. She thereafter was a daily communicant, called the Eucharist her breakfast. She had this beautiful ministry of charity where she would buy things, collect things, find things, be given things that she would give to those who were as poor or even more poor than herself. She had very meager means. She worked working as a domestic and doing childcare for people. And she became known as Denver's Angel of Charity. And Julia had a blinded eye because as a child, she was holding on to her mother who was being beaten by a slave master. And the whip caught Julia's eye. She was maybe about 4 years old at that time. And that eye was blinded and forever after wept. But Julia refused to hate. She undertook this beautiful mission of charity. And also she had great devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And the first Friday of every month would make a pilgrimage to all the fire stations in Denver to take Sacred Heart pamphlets to the men, whether they were Catholic or not. And she called them tickets to heaven because she couldn't read them. She couldn't read or write, but she knew that they encouraged prayer and offering one's day to God. And she wanted the firemen who had very dangerous jobs to be ready for an untimely death. And Julia, when she died, her body was laid in state in a small chapel in Denver for 5 hours, and people from all walks of life for 5 hours came to pay their respects to this woman, old Julia, who was a shining witness of Christianity, Christian charity and faith. And the Archdiocese of Denver started her canonization cause a few years ago and exhumed her body as part of that process from the local Catholic cemetery and entombed her at our Cathedral Basilica, downtown Denver. She is the only person buried in our cathedral. Wow. No bishops, no priests, just Julia. And she's right to the left of the main altar. So people can learn about her. And yeah, she's a beautiful witness of charity and hope and perseverance.
And another Black Catholic in the book as well is Venerable Pierre Toussaint.
Yes.
When did he live and what was his story?
Toussaint was brought to old New York. The U.S. was brand spanking new, and they came from what is now Haiti, and he worked as the butler for the family, the Berard family. He was apprenticed as a hairdresser, became the most successful hairdresser in old New York City. The gentleman who had brought him over died after a few years, and Pierre Toussaint continued to support the household and the widow for many years, and continued to work as a butler. And he also purchased the freedom for his sister and then his beloved, who he then married. And the widow Berard freed Toussaint just right before her death, a few days before her death. But slavery was still not outlawed in old New York for another 20 years. But he he married, and he and his wife, uh, he was very wealthy and became a philanthropist, supported the first congregation of Black women, supported Mother Seton's orphanage in Old New York City. He today is the only layman buried in St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City, along with the bishops.
And what about Father Augustus Tolton, who was the first Black Catholic priest?
The first Black Catholic priest, Pierre Toussaint, he and his mother and his younger siblings had a harrowing journey from Missouri to Illinois, and when he was 8 years old. And growing up, two priests believed that he had a vocation, affirming his own belief. He became Catholic, and no American seminary would accept him. But the two priests who believed in him so strongly found a seminary in Rome, a missionary seminary, that did accept Father Augustus, and he was ordained, and he thought he would be sent to Africa as a missionary, but he was sent back to his hometown where he ministered. And he eventually was sent to Chicago and grew a Black parish there from 30 members to like 600 members in just like 2 years. And he really served as the Black Catholic priest for the U.S. because he was the only one at the time. He died very young at age 43, but he was much beloved. Good Father Gus is what people called him. And he is on his tomb acknowledged as the first Black Catholic priest for the U.S.
Well, Roxanne, I wish we could go on. This is so interesting. Catholic Heroes of Civil and Human Rights, 1800 to the present. Where can people get a copy of the book?
The book is through Ignatius Press, who graciously gave us our own web link, www.catholicheroes.com. You can find out more about the book. It's received a plethora of endorsements from Archbishop Chaput, Archbishop Quilla, Archbishop Gomez, Bishop Connolly, George Weigel, many people. You can read the endorsements and find out more about the book, and you can order the book online there.
Roxanne, it's been a pleasure. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for having me.